Welcome to today's episode of How the Game Was Won. And we are in Baku, Azerbaijan for the FIDE World Cup 2015, and this is the 7th game of the final being played between Sergey Karjakin and Be2 Svidler. Game played on the 5th of October 2015. Without further ado, let's have a look at how the game played itself out. Karjakin with the white pieces versus Svidler with black. And after 6 games, the scores are all tied at 3-all, and this being the 7th. Knight F3, Knight F6, C4, C5, E3, G6, D4, Bishop G7, D5, castles. And as you can see, we've got a type of a King's Indian setup happening at the moment. And we continue. Knight C3, D6, H3, E6, Bishop E2, Rook E8, Knight D2, Knight A8, D takes E, Bishop takes E, castles, and D5. And bearing in mind that this game is being played with a 10 minutes aside time control, so I've got no idea if it was that specifically or what it was, but Karjakin here for white is looking really bad right out of the opening. Black's managed to get control of the center and has superior piece placement, which already gives him a clear edge after only 11 moves. C takes D, Knight takes D5, Knight takes D5, Bishop takes D5, Queen C2, Knight B4, Queen B1, Queen E7, A3, Knight C6, which I suppose is just a way of white trying to get some sort of constructive plan, but it's really not easy to see with such uncoordinated, undeveloped pieces what white stands to be able to do. A4, Queen E6, Rook A3, C4, Rook E1, Rook AD8, A5, Bishop F8, Rook A4, Knight E5, E4, Bishop C6, Rook C4, and unbelievable 23 moves in, and Karjakin uncorks a blunder of that size that effectively loses instantly. And obviously black, even with a short time control, finds the winning continuation, which is Rook takes on D2. For instance, the other option, and then here the options for Karjakin could have been, for instance, Rook takes on C6, Rook takes on E2, Rook takes on E6, Rook takes on E1, King H2, Rook C6, which is a completely hopeless position already. White is down on material, and that C1 bishop is doomed to drop in really short order. But instead of that, Karjakin continued with Bishop takes on D2, which you've got Knight C4, Knight taking on C4, Bishop C3, and Knight D6, and being able to pick up a free piece for 0 compensation is obviously always a pleasant thing to do, and with a piece up, Svidler manages to convert without any problems, even taking into account the relatively short time control. But F3, Bishop G7, Bishop takes on G7, King takes on G7, Queen D3, Queen E5, Queen D2, A6, Rook D1, Knight B5, Queen B4, Knight C7, Queen B6, F5, Bishop D3, Rook D8, E takes on F5, G takes on F5, King F2, Queen D4, with check, queen takes in d4, check, rook takes in d4, king e3, knight e6, rook c1, f4 check, king e2, rook b4, bishop takes in a6, and b takes in a6. So now what we've got left over, now that the dust is completely settled, is that white has a rook and 5 pawns, black has a rook, knight, bishop, and 3 pawns, so 2 minor pieces up. It's got to this stage where Svidler realized that Karjakin realized that Svidler's flag was in no danger of falling, and that the end was absolutely inevitable. And with this position, Karjakin resigned, giving Svidler the lead, so which means that after 7 games, we had Svidler won the first 2, Karjakin won the next 3, and now Svidler has just won another 2. To be leading the match 4 points to 3, going into the second 10-minute game of the tiebreak of the finals of the FIDE World Cup in Baku. And with that, we bring you to the end of this episode of How the Game Was Won. Feel free to share this video out amongst all of your chess friends. Don't forget to click the thumbs up button if you like the content, thumbs down if not. That way I know what to be putting out by way of content for you in the future. And please post any comments, questions, criticisms that you may have down below. That way you'll be helping me to make these videos better for you in the future. And last but by no means least, down below the video screen in YouTube is a big red subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button, that way you stay subscribed to my channel for all the new content that comes out on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis. And until I see you next time for another episode of How the Game Was Won, stay safe out there and stay carved up for the win. Cheers.